What's up, guys? T-Rex here, playing as Titans Atheist this time. The 2 versus 2. We've got a Rome versus Rome on one side. We've got Hamilcar Barca. He's taking a 14-6 build. He's gone for a wide formation. I've gone as Carthage. I have 6 cav, 3 slingers, and 11 highly upgraded Sacred Band hoplites. Then we've got Titans Mohamed here, using Macedon. He's got, I think, 2 Cretan archers, 2 companion cav, so he has a huge amount of infantry. It would not be smart for me to just go attack him, because even though Carthage has the advantage, when Macedon has this much numbers and you don't skirmish them or something or use your cav, this many pikes is going to win. Even if I do use my cav, it only takes like 1 or 2 of his pikes to turn around and it'll kill all of them, because they are Sarissas, and I'm assuming many of his pikes have gold 2 upgrades. So you have to be really careful versus this army. You'd have to dance around and skirmish him a bit. And for what it's worth, Mo is one of the best players with pikes in existence on the game, especially these days in Rome Total War. So you definitely don't want to mess with Mohamed when he's taking Macedon or most other factions. In fact, pretty much any faction. The only way he'd be better is if he had camels, but unfortunately Macedon just has horses. So on his left, he has Pagli as a teammate. Pagli has taken, I think, a 14-6 build as well. 14 urbans. So that's the matchup here. Mohamed's known for flanking with Macedon very early in the game. My opinion is it's not really, he gets away with it because he's very good micro and he always has a plan when he does it, but in general I don't think it's like the best idea. It kind of makes sense right here because he has no cav and he has to chase my slingers without getting killed by my cav superiority here, but the whole time I can just shoot him on the side with my slingers while he's moving around. You'll probably notice a few dead bodies, but of course now that he's close enough I can't actually shoot with my slingers because I have to run, so that kind of mitigates it. But there is this one unit here firing missiles at him. So he's flanking, he's running around. Some units are dying, but he took so much infantry, it's not really that many kills in the grand scheme of things. So Hamilcar is going to help me out with a cav unit. Not sure why. There's really no need to just chase pikemen with cav around. If Mo wanted to, Hamilcar wasn't watching, he probably could have killed this Praetorian cav. If I was Hamilcar, I'd definitely face Pag. Try to win this 1v1 if he can. Pag is kind of a strong player compared to Hamilcar, so it would be pretty. Not that Hamilcar can't win or that he's bad, but Pagli is a pretty strong player with Rome, so he probably needs a little bit of help with the cav superiority that I've brought to the field. So this is starting to look like a big CWB game. He's probably going to get this one archer. But it's not really a big deal. It's just one archer, and his whole army just kind of ran around and got shot for it. I think it's a good trade-off. My cav's already all over the map. His pikes are all over the map. It's a pretty spread out game, I'd say. I think Mo would probably try to shoot either my slingers or my sacred band at this point with his Cretan archers to get back at me. So that'd be wise. He did kill his slinger. And his infantry is winded, so he probably does not want to engage those right away. He wants to rest those before engaging. He's going to move around still, so I'm just going to shoot him a little bit more. Now, the advantage of what Mo's doing here is that if Pag decided to push this way, that would give Mo a great opportunity to sort of because of the numbers of his infantry, it would just give him a lot of flexibility to kind of poke around the flank, harass Hamilcar's calves, just sort of obstruct our range of motion here. But Pag is going to retreat, he's going to decline the attack, and he's going to link back up with Mo here, which I could also see why. He seems to have really lost this initial skirmish here in terms of manpower. While Hamilcar's moving, I'm just kind of like, while Pag's moving, I'm just going to kind of shoot his cav, get some more kills in these Cretans. Whenever infantry is moving around and you have the luxury of being stationary and you have archers, it's really a good idea to shoot heavy infantry. It'll definitely, you might not get, it might not seem like that many kills, but considering it's a really cheap unit and it's just killing units for free, why not? At the end of the game, the heavy infantry is going to be more important than the archers, which are out of ammo or killed by cav or whatever. So really, we're just playing like this repositioning game. Mo's got his army spread out across the length of all the armies. He's even got pikes inside of Paglia's army to help defend Paglia against the cav advantage that we have. We've got 12. They've got only 8. And, Mo doesn't really have to worry about getting hammered and anviled so much because the way his formation's set up, he has 2 pikes in reserve for 2 pikes in the front. And there's no way I'm really going to outflank him because I only have 11 infantry. And Hamilcar probably wants all of his urbans this way, especially with the support Mo's giving him. At this point, I should really be resting my cav. I did run around with them a lot, but they're all fresh and they're all over the map, which is good, ready for any hiccups or surprises. Mo's going to continue flanking. His general is way out here. Maybe the only thing I would do differently is put my general where this little unit is, sort of in the middle, so that it has a nice, consistent morale bonus throughout the for his units. But he could also be planning to move the bulk of his army on my left, while Pag, moving his urbans, shoots me from the front with Pila and attacks with presumably some pikes helping. But Hamilcar is going to give me a little Pila shield. I'm going to try to withdraw. I don't want to get Pila at all. I only have 11 pikes. Sacred Band suck versus Pila. They don't have any hit points. And Hamilcar might have lost that unit, but he withdrew just in time. And again, if Pag continued that assault, he might have gotten caught by a few pikes or Pila by urbans. Would have lost a lot of cav, which would have really hurt them because they need to use their cav as economically as possible to get effective routes going. So I'm just trying to hang back. Mo's probably shooting me with his Cretans while I'm moving back. He definitely is. I'm losing units. Fuck. Bunch of these units that died. I believe they were either from they were from just the Pila unit. Pila War. Spag has lost a couple of units. He's a couple of units down at this juncture. My slingers are probably either they're shooting at Mo's pike still. So at this juncture, as you can see, both of our pike armies are just behind our Roman allies. Hamilcar is aggressively trying to take flanks. One little thing about Hamilcar's army is if you notice how tightly together Pag's Rome is, all of his units are kind of connected well. They can support each other anywhere they need help. Hamilcar's units are a little bit too forward. He's moving, his general was like all the way back here before, but he has urbans back here as well. When your Pila screen's too far away from your urbans, it just kind of makes it really easy for the guy to like just cav charge the Pila screen and kill it, just get it for unit, because you're probably out of range from Pila, and with this distance away, like this urban here has no morale support from its general. The general's way too far away. The units are way too spread back. Hamilcar needs to kind of compress his formation a little bit inward, just to give himself a little bit more support. And, like we said, because he's just too spread out, his Pag's more tightly, still just as wide, but just more closer together infantry is really able to help his cav out and just rout a bunch of units. He's going to do a really nice charge down the flank here, routing some more urbans. With most pikes here, it sort of deters Hamilcar from wanting to charge back. Big advantage of using pikes in a team game. Hamilcar is going to attempt a charge, but it's not really going anywhere that productive, and he's just running into units that are routing. He's also at a huge risk of just getting peeled as he charges in, and countercharged and charged by pikes. I'm not even using my cav that way. On the other side too, he's just getting pushed everywhere. His urbans are just routing everywhere. I'm finally actually using pikes to just stop the cav charging because Hamilcar is just getting murdered. He's lost a lot of, like 3 or 4 urbans at this point, and a cav. So Hamilcar is in a huge amount of trouble. which is really bad for our team as a whole because the most powerful unit in the game is Rome. And when your ally is Rome and he loses all of his units, it's pretty horrible. So Mo's going to come in from the flank with his Royal Pikemen. He's just got a massive army. He's got pikes everywhere. So what Pag and Mo should probably be thinking about doing right here is pressing forward, getting rid of these urbans. There's no reason not to. These urbans right here are in a blob. They're really exposed. They're losing. But they all do go through a unit that's facing the Cav, and Hamilcar also sent another unit to sort of block it. So it's not the cleanest charge, but those units that block it did rout. I've got a pike here just in time, but still the damage is done. And then Hamilcar does another move that I would question. He's charging Pag's Cav with just Cav, while Pag has Urban supporting him. And there's pikes right here. They're just going to come in from the flank, slam right in there. Excellent play by Mo. This is why he has his pikes everywhere. He's taking advantage of those numbers. He can just be everywhere, support everywhere, and there's nothing that anybody at least attacking Pag or going on his flank can do about it. So right off the bat, we have almost no Cav, at least from Hamilcar Barca. So huge disaster on this flank. I'm just sending my pikes in to fight Rome. I don't want to, but I have to, because Hamilcar's army is almost dead from those attacks. Mo's going to lift his pikes here, and he's going to try to, or never mind. He's just going to try to flank with this army here. So, while all of this excitement is going on over here, and they're trying to rout the last of Hamilcar's army, I do a sneaky little move here. I get 2 Cav positioned. Mo's probably like, ah, fuck it, Bubo's an idiot. He's not gonna, like, actually try this. I've got reserves. But I try it, and I charge him from 2 sides. And miraculously, I end up routing a shitload of Royal Pikes. Eventually, I get his general. There's 2 Pikes routing right there. They were, like, completely fresh and good beforehand. Meanwhile, just kind of holding with some Royal Pikes, some, like, Sacred Band. Pretty pathetic defense. I've got, like, 1 here guarding 4 Pikes, 1 here guarding 4 Pikes. This is really his general. Most general's dead, which is going to hurt him a lot. But also Hamilcar Barca's general's dead. My Cav was trying to simultaneously help out here, but they've just got so much Cav on the side, and Hamilcar made a lot of mistakes with his attacks earlier, so the Cav advantage has been swapped to their favor. But the only good thing that's happened this whole game, basically, is that this part of Mo's flank with his isolated general has been conquered by my units. So that gives me a really great opportunity to just mop up here and get some more support in more relevant places. Paglia is going to sort of just blob his urbans on top of my pikes, so that gives me a really good opportunity to do a charge right in the backs of these urban cohorts. He's going to try to do a counter charge. I'm going to get away just in time. But I've got so many pikes here. There's pikes coming in from this flank. I've just fucked this. I'm just going to come in, and I'm going to countercharge with some Sacred Band units. There's going to be Sacred Band pikemen, or hoplites rather, charging back. Pag just saves his Cav in time. But now the issue is that his general and 2 other infantry are just surrounded here. Not much they can do. They can't really countercharge the Cav. This one Sacred Band heroically was sacrificed, but it gave me time to kind of get this going. So I've got a really good opportunity now, even though I'm surrounded here and it looks pretty fucked, to just sort of charge into these 3 urbans here, maybe kill his general, maybe get a good route in. I've got a lot of pikes in reserve to block anything coming at me from behind, and that's just what I do. And Paglia's units are now going to start to rout. I'm going to sort of harass and fake out Mo here. Mohamed's doing a pretty good job using his numbers here. He's definitely still flanking. Paglia's going to do some charges from behind, which means I can't put pressure on these pikes. So while he's doing that, Mo's going to just press in for the attack and try to just rout me. But my Sacred Band are pretty fresh. They really haven't moved much, whereas they were running around earlier in the game. So despite the fact that I'm really outnumbered and surrounded in a horrible position, so far more of their units are actually routing than mine. And Mohamed's just going to keep pressing forward with his pikes. He's desperately trying to just get the win in on one side. I see a nice opportunity here. There's undefended Royal Pikes. They're not like tired, but they're warmed up. So I'm just going to do a charge with my Cav here, as you saw, and I'm going to collapse this most of this flank here with my Sacred Band cavalry. Pagli's going to try to countercharge. He just loses all of his units in doing so. So that charge worked out really nicely. I didn't completely mop this flank up, but a lot of it was taken care of. So this gives me an opportunity to put more pressure on Mo over here and maybe try to save the Sacred Band, which are surrounded. Mo still has a lot of cavalry, though, and it's Sacred Band. It's not like Pikes, so he has an easier time routing my units if he gets a nice charge in from behind. And he's got just this really tiny but still strong amount of Pikes here. Just took so many. They are winded, so that does help me out, and I'm surrounding them. So it's looking like a pretty close game here, but my army is pretty much toast. I've done everything that I possibly could have. If these units don't rout this blob of infantry, it's basically over, and Mo's just got so much cav that he hasn't wasted yet. He only brought 2 cav the whole game. My 6 cav was spent just saving the game with charges into pikes, and honestly just this 1 pike from behind routs my general. These Sacred Band units didn't do anything in time. And that pretty much ends the game right there. So, interesting and unique way to use Macedon. Just taking a ton of infantry and kind of just commanding the map, sort of just limiting cav movement. Hamilcar Barca really fucked up in the beginning of the game with a lot of just his formation and a lot of attacks that might not have been the best advised, but he did the best he could. So most of my kills are from my cavalry. As you can see, just mainly, I didn't take many pikes. They got very decent kills too, but the cav shared at least half the load just because of the hammer and anvils they were doing. Mo and Paglia got very similar kills. I've got most of them because all I did was just kill pikes the whole game and routed a couple of Romans. So, yeah, that's the game.